Hi friends, my name is Ludmil and I'm DevRel contributor at Near DevHub. Welcome to the 6 Tools community call. If you haven't attended one yet, those are informal sessions where we share updates, discuss, and present tooling projects from the ecosystem. If you want to get involved, join our Telegram group or visit the Tools community page at near.devhub.org. You can see the recordings of all previous sessions on DevHub's YouTube channel. Unfortunately, someone had to drop from today's agenda, it's a bit worrying, to be honest, because I know some of the efforts that are currently being made around the ecosystem. And let me tell you, the next community call is definitely going to be packed. Nonetheless, today we are joined not only by Zahid and Fro, which I'm sure we are all familiar with so far, but also Jacob, more known as Cody. Jacob has been with Near for a while and has contributed to many of the interesting efforts around the ecosystem, such as the Near contract parser. I'm pretty sure most of us have used to an extent it. And some of you might remember Stats Gallery. Do you remember it? I miss it. Jacob is interested into education. He has a YouTube channel, and I see that recently restarted blogging periodically at geeklounge.io. Today, he's going to present Near contract tools, a link of which I'll be dropping in the chat shortly. Thanks all for being here. Without further ado, I would like to start with Zahid, who is going to present his and his team current working into AI tool that is going to help us with front-end development. So without further ado, Zahid, if you're ready, you can take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. So before the AI tool, because we have a little bit more time, so I want to share one update in, especially in the those of you who are using Jutsu for boss component development. So I talked with a lot of people where I found some people like to kind of build boss component locally because we have boss loader and others, and other people, especially the new people, want to use the web-based IDE. So we added a feature now. If you are working in a team, let's say in a hackathon setting or in a group setting, like build out where a lot of people work on similar kind of project, now you can import your project from GitHub. So I think SDK or SDK. So I think this is one of the project where it has boss component. So then you can open those widgets, and then literally, so you can work from here and then push your changes to GitHub. So if your teammate working locally using Boss Loader or Boss Workshop, whatever tools they use, so now you can kind of work together. So this is kind of another way of working collaboratively when you're building a Boss component. So I think it was like a lot of people ask for it. So now you can kind of build together. So that's kind of the main point. The next thing is now building a boss component using manually is nice, but a lot of time we want to build a UI where we have some idea, right? So like how many of people, I don't know, like I cannot ask here, but I have built like this kind of social login component probably more than 100 times. And every time, even today, like I cannot tell off the top of my head like how to center all this component and make this kind of nice UI. But today, you don't really have to do it. So all you can do is like you can take a screenshot of like, okay, this is the UI that I want to build. And then you come to Bento. So Bento is a generative UI platform where it can generate a user interface based on your prompt or a screenshot that you can provide. So let's say we have an idea of like building some sort of login for our app. Now I can come here and I can upload that screenshot. So this is my screenshot. So I want something like this, and then I want to probably extend that one. So I can upload this screenshot. I could add more prompt to kind of make it better. So right now it generate kind of a React Tailwind code. It imagine like it can we can easily extend it to Boss component or Vue or any other framework in the future. Give it a few seconds. So we can see it is generating code. So in a few seconds, so it gives me a starting point. So now from here, I can add. So let's say I want to add a I don't know, add a background image with. Let's see what it does. So the idea is like you will iteratively you'll have a starting point that you have an idea. I want to build something like that, and then iteratively kind of keep building and give it a few more seconds. So it should add a background image. I don't see the background image. Yeah, so it has a river. It bring that river from the Unsplash API just for the demo. So you can see like so now you have a login page with a river in the background. And then if you want to, as it is, like if you want to deploy, you can, of course, like you can bring it to Boss component and kind of deploy it as a Boss component. So you can connect your wallet. I'm not going to do it now, but like you get the idea. So and then like if you go back, you'll see it's not like just a smaller thing. Like there are a lot of interesting idea people are kind of iterating. So the way I see it, it's more going to be for heavily useful for non-technical people, where they want to kind of start building something, some UI, and kind of imagine like you are building a DeFi project, and you obviously need a landing page, or you are you want to build this Uniswap. Like how many of us like showed the example of Uniswap? So imagine like if you have to build this UI, now literally you can just take the screenshot of this page, and then you'll have a Uniswap user interface in few seconds. So it's like a that's the thing I'm excited about, like making it more simple for everyday people to kind of build a dApp easily. And even for experienced people like you and me, it's like it's a lot of time saving. Imagine like if I have to write this UI and kind of position all this element in a website. It's like I'm more like a backend developer. So like I can build front end, but I'm not super kind of interested or knowledgeable about front end. So in few seconds, it should be able to give you some starting point. So then you can start iterating. So that's the main idea. And I would say like go to like go to app.jutsu.ai and go to Bento, or go to app bento.jutsu.ai and just play with it. In few weeks, we'll have like a we'll update the UI, and it will be like, I would say like a maybe 30% much better. So in few weeks, so it's like a V0. So now we are working on V1, where you'll find more professional UI. I can see the question, and I'm happy to answer.
First of all, Owen asked why not targeted to lazy people like himself, and indeed, Owen, I believe that you are part of the targeted audience. But I also, because like you mentioned that there is, well, what are the current limitations? Because in the demo that you presented, the code generation uses Tailwind, correct? But we are not able currently to use Tailwind, or at least from the version 3, because it has to be compiled and stuff. So is there a way or a plan to export the generated front end with stout components, for example, that we can indeed just like drag and drop into the boss components?
So the first question, well, like about the laziness, I think like I'm more lazy than anyone else. So, and I am a believer of like I have to build it first for myself, and then if it works for me, it will probably work for other people. So now for a more serious question about like supporting more like a boss component. So in the future version, you will be able to choose different framework or libraries. So like I experimented with just HTML, React, Vue, or like Bootstrap or any. So in the future, maybe for advanced version, we will give people choice of like, okay, these are the things you want to choose. And this is a version like where it should be also drop in like a component you create here, and you should be able to easily use in your React project also. So it should not be kind of a just for boss component. So maybe for boss component, you use require, like some of you know how to import like a third-party package using require. In boss, like you can load it JavaScript using require, vm.require. There is a really interesting function that loads like any third-party JavaScript. So we will be able to use those in the future.
Amazing. And one follow-up question that I got is, do you see this as a way to, like, do you see a potential expansion of actually adding functionality, for example, interacting with smart contracts or already made applications into the generated code, or more or less like templating thing that later people would be additionally adding functionality to or implementing in their current projects?
So both. So there will be templating functionality where, like, if you want to kind of launch a token, or like there should be a bunch of things very standard. If you want to create an NFT marketplace, should be standard. If you have like so there will be a templated part. The other important thing that we are doing that I want to, it's not an announcement, but like because it's the internal, all of us are just it's internal, so I consider it internal extension of Jutsu team. So we are working on also the smart contract development. So so in the future, you will be able to build full stack app. So it will be more like a scaffold, like where you start. So it gives you a starting point for your smart contract and your front end and everything. You can do it from Jutsu. You can start from template. So that's kind of where we are going, and we are going to build. So this is our first attempt to build a code generator using LLM. So imagine like now the second code generator will be probably this community might not like it. So second code generator will be Solidity, but the third one will be Rust, like a near Rust. So third one, yeah. So like in next 3 months, 3 to 6 months, we should have like a Solidity and Rust support for smart contract generation.
Amazing. I don't agree of like why would the community wouldn't like it, because advancement in technology is advancements of technology, and we all know that we are a bunch of geeks just interested into that stuff. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would actually be finding it interesting, which is a nice transition. Like speaking about smart contracts and code generations, it would be a nice transition to what Jacob was actually working on, which is the near contract tools, which is essentially a set of tools that would help us to build contracts faster, or like scaffolding things. But more on this, I think that Jacob would be able to present himself. Jacob, are you ready?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Just quickly share here. All right. Able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we'll just start this up here really quick. So I'm going to be talking about the major version 3 release of Near SDK contract tools. For anyone who doesn't know what Near SDK contract tools is, it's a Rust library for near smart contract development. Particularly, it tries to be the molecules that help you build a contract. If near SDK is the atoms, then near SDK contract tools is the molecules. So rather than implementing contract primitives like account ID or cross-contract calls, which is what near SDK implements, instead, near SDK contract tools implements things like the fungible token standard, non-fungible token standards, a bunch of these other useful, not quite primitives, but also not fully contracts, right? So kind of contract components, if you will. And it does so in a way that's highly modular. It plays very well with other libraries and with a security mindset, and it's an effort to reduce the boilerplate that's needed to get a basic kind of contract that implements one of these standards up and running in the first place. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through a really quick example of how to create a brand new near smart contract using the fabulous Cargo Near tool, which you can get from this URL or by installing it with Cargo with this command. But I'm just going to pull up my terminal here, and we're going to see how quickly we can implement a fully standards compatible fungible token using Near SDK contract tools. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new smart contract by saying cargo near new, and then we can type in the name of our project. I'm just going to call it my token. Awesome. So I've created a project at my token. Let's switch to that directory. And we can see what's going on here. We just have a couple of files. So then we need to add our single dependency, which is cargo add near SDK contract tools like this. It'll add that really quickly. The version 3, you can see right there, 3.0.2. And there we have it now added to our project. So now we can open up our contract file here, and we only have to add 2 lines of code. The first is our import. So we're going to say use near SDK contract tools, and then we'll import everything from the fungible token mass export here. And then all we have to do is say derive fungible token, and that's all. Now, this is not going to be a fully functional fungible token smart contract because, for example, there's no way to mint new tokens, but this is just to illustrate how easy it is to fully implement all of the standards as necessary. All right, so we're just going to write that, and then we'll say cargo near build. and it'll start building out this project. The first thing that it's going to do is it will generate the ABI for this smart contract. And Near SDK Contract Tools is fully compatible with the Near ABI. So there, it just finished building the ABI, and now it's actually building the smart contract. So once all that's done, we'll peek at the ABI and verify that it indeed does expose functions. So here we'll just peek at one of these files here. So we'll say target here. We'll open up this file and just if we take a look for ft underscore, we can see a whole bunch of these different fungible token functions have been implemented. And as well, we can see that it's implemented some of these storage functions as well, because it implements the storage standard. And if you were to use Near SDK Contract Tools to implement the non-fungible token set of standards, it wouldn't just implement, for example, NEP 171, but also the other associated standards, as well as the storage management standard. All right, so that is my quick demo of how to add Near SDK Contract Tools to your project. Now we can switch back over to the presentation, and here are some places where you can go to find out more information about the project. This is the GitHub. It's quite active. Crates.io, that's where you can see more information about the released versions of the crate. So here are minimal examples of the implementation of an NFT right here, and a fungible token right here. Again, these don't have ways to mint the tokens. They're just very minimal kind of proof of concepts. And here's a list of some of the other additional features that you can get as part of this package. All right. Oh, yes, one last thing. As you were talking about code generation, Zahid, we do have this tool here, this token wizard. It's a Boss app or Boss component, and it does generate code using the Near SDK Contract Tools. Currently, however, this generates code for Near SDK Contract Tools version 2. It hasn't yet been updated to support version 3, which was just released like 1 or 2 weeks ago. So I'll get around to updating this pretty soon. But if you need a way to quickly generate a token, I want to be able to own it or something like that and make it possible, then it will generate the code.
That's wonderful.
All right.
Like, can you share the component link? It's really wonderful.
Oh, yeah. And this is also open source. Let me see if I can remember where the repo for that is.
So
I think it's around here somewhere. Contract Wizard. Here we go. So this would be the GitHub for the code generation component, if you want to take a look at that as well. All right. Any questions? Oh, let's see. I should have been looking at the chat. Okay.
yeah,
This framework is to what Anchor is to Solana. So I'm not super familiar with Solana. I usually use the comparison that it's like Open Zeppelin is to Solidity, is Near SDK Contract Tools is to Rust on Near. If Anchor is similar for Solana, then yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, so then I'll ask the question. So Jacob, like, first of all, like, a great job. Like, every time you present, like, I really enjoy your presentation and your work. So do we have like do we know like what kind of things people build? So is it like people build a lot of fungible token or non-fungible token? Is there a way kind of for us to know like what kind of things people are interested?
So a lot of kind of the inspiration for me to build this project in the first place is My position at Pagoda is, so I work on the solutions team, which means that I work with a lot of partners, and oftentimes I will build smart contracts for those partners. And so as I've built more and more smart contracts for our partners, there have been common themes and threads. Like I often implement the same thing, right? I'm often implementing like pausability or ownership or some sort of role-based access control, as well as fungible tokens. And then non-fungible token is just kind of a logical complement to that. So this is really kind of a dog-fooded, highly dog-fooded crate, because it's built mostly out of components that I myself have found a need for. I have talked to a few other people who do use this crate, and in particular, there is a decent amount of love for the fungible token set of standards. That's what it seems like. Like when I talk to other users, that's the one that kind of stands out as being used a lot. But yeah, this is really, it's a highly dog-fooded crate. So it's mostly like based on my own needs.
But you answered my question. So like if I follow what you implemented, so those are the things people really want.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually have two questions for you, Jacob. The first one is for people who are not entirely familiar or like for the inner workings of, I would like to elaborate, if you can, of course, elaborate of like what is the difference to the contract tools to the near contract standards that it's included into the SDK. And this is the first one. And the second question that I have, since like taking into account the modularity of Cargo Near, I assume that there would be an open space for contribution that we can make use of near contract standards to make an extension for Cargo Near in order to even further simplify the process of creating these standard contracts, being fungible token or like NFTs or something like that. So is this something that you would suggest people to explore?
Sure. So near contract standards is a separate crate that is all part of the near SDK-rs repository, and it has a different approach to implementing the standards. In particular, it implements them using declarative macros, whereas these are procedural macros. And the difference, I guess, there is that declarative macros, or at least the way that the near contract standards uses declarative macros, it's a lot simpler. So you can go and look at the code for near contract standards, and it's quite readable, right? It looks very macros in Rust can be kind of hairy beasts to deal with. And the way that near contract standards uses declarative macros is very simple, easy to read, and it's just kind of you do it once and it's done kind of approach. Whereas near SDK contract tools uses procedural macros, which are more complicated to work with. So there's more complexity there, but in exchange, I think that the way that near SDK contract tools implements non-fungible token or fungible token, for example, is a lot more extensible because of the hooks API. And I want to say that it's in, maybe it's not in the README, but the hooks API is definitely in the docs here somewhere. Let's see, where are my hooks? So hooks with near SDK contract tools allow you to implement a trait that looks something like this. You say, I want to implement a hook on my contract that will be called whenever there is a NEP 141, that's our fungible token standard, transfer event. So then this function here, you'll be able to hook into that kind of event. And these events exist for pretty much anything you could want. There are like for the storage standard, for non-fungible token events, for fungible token events, and a bunch of other different events you can hook into. The second question of yours was, is there like an integration with Near SDK contract tools and cargo Near in such a way that you would be able to maybe use the CLI to generate a smart contract? Currently, there's no such integration. However, this repo, the Contract Wizard repo, actually does have kind of a little bit of a janky CLI built into it, where you can use this kind of JSON string here to generate Rust code. So a CLI of sorts kind of already does exist. It's just very janky and probably nobody knows about it. And I wouldn't necessarily especially recommend that you use it. But if an effort to integrate Near SDK contract tools into Cargo Near wherever attempted, this would probably be a good starting point because it's already 90% implemented.
Amazing.
Right.
Thank you very
Looks
much.
like,
And the last question is from...
I have a question that will probably also help us answering the Zahid's first question. So, do you know about the standard source code metadata, MAP 330?
yes.
It could store the standards, and is this SDK automatically adding the standards that we are using to the metadata?
Mm-hmm. So actually, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a nice way to support the source code metadata standard, which so there are two ways that I could approach this. I could say we're going to do a really dumb approach where it's like, okay, implement the source metadata standard, and then I, as the developer, still have to manually type out every single standard that I'm implementing and their versions. And that, I don't think that that is a remarkably better user experience than what Near SDK version 5 already provides, because with Near SDK version 5, there is, you can add a contract metadata attribute to the Near macro, and you can type in, I implement this standard, this version, here's my like Git repo, something like that. You can already do that with Near SDK. Now, what I would really like to do is make it so that every time you say derive non-fungible token, it automatically adds that to the automatically generated contract metadata information. That is possible, sort of. Either you have to do kind of a two-step process where you go through the code and collect all of everything that's been implemented in kind of a pre-compile step, or maybe a post-compile. Well, post-compile wouldn't really work, but in a kind of a pre-compilation step, you go through and scan everything. Or you could use like a custom binary section and register in a custom section of the actual binary that's generated. These are the standards that I'm implementing, and then have the contract read from that custom section. That would work, except for WebAssembly and Rust. Currently, I'm not exactly sure where the fault lies, but custom binary sections, or custom linker sections, I guess, are not supported fully in WebAssembly outputs yet. So I can't do that. So basically, it's something, all of that to say, something I would really like to do, but currently with the state of Rust and WebAssembly, it's not easy to do, or I just do some sort of precompile step, which I'm not convinced is worth the effort at this point in time. So yeah, there's kind of it is a surprisingly more difficult engineering problem than you might expect.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you very much. I hope that this answers your question, Andre. It's very interesting how into all of these individual tools, if we look a little bit deeper into it, like a lot of value could be extracted and like potential opportunities for contributions or further development. So that's very interesting. So last but not least on today's agenda, that's Vlad. He will be talking a little bit about the Rust stack updates and CLI and toolings around it. So Vlad, if you're ready. Dun, 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 dun. I don't have elevator music, so I'm going to simulate it.
Sorry for
No,
taking a bit of time to find the unmute button.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you, Vlad. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Awesome. Let's get ready for all the nice, shiny updates from our Rust world ecosystem. I'm so happy to see Cargo Near being featured already today, so I'll talk a bit less about it, and I will spare some time for other updates. So let me quickly share the screen. Can you see it now? I assume yes. So here we go. Let's jump right in. So since the last time we spoke, we actually had like 4 releases of near.cli.rs, and that is thanks to our automated scripted pipelines. And I want to shout out to Release Please project, which allowed us to really iterate quicker and cut the releases in no time. And just from the get-go, I want to mention that we have a lot of nice, cool features over there. So when you interact with the smart contracts that support Near ABI, now near.cli.rs will just helpfully suggest you the function names that you can interact with, which is awesome. And by the way, I will show a bit of a demo after I get through all the whole list. So also you will see a transaction fee and the approximate USD amount of the transaction that you just executed. And there are nice loading indicators now. So while you're waiting, you can enjoy some of the progress and understand what's going on. And we plan to extend it even further to provide you kind of with a learning experience of what's happening at which state. So we may consider to add a bit more delays to the process here and there, just sleeps basically, and allow people to read through all the messages to understand better how the process looks like if they want to learn Near at the nitty-gritty detail, because I believe near.cli.rs is actually a pretty powerful tool to learn those details. And then there was an introduction of Fast Near API to optimize the fetching of the list of staking pools that the account could have staked with, so we can see a better, faster account summary. So here we go. When you start near CLI, you interact with the contract, you call the function, and by the way, send me any near account, and you will receive a small. Let's not actually use this one. Let's actually let's start with function call. Sorry. So as a read-only function, I want to interact with DevHub, for example. You saw that those loader indicators right there. Maybe you didn't, but they were super fast. And for example, I want to so now I'm having this nice list of available functions, and specifically view functions that I can interact with. So get all add-ons from DevHub, for example, and we are fetching all of them. Nice. And boom, we have the output already here. So this is, I didn't need to type much. The available methods are pulled in from the chain. I don't need to take any other source for that. When I'm, can somebody send a your account to receive a bit of near? Who's going to be first? I see here. Okay. I'll take somebody.
Beggars. Crypto beggars.
So let's go. Send near was the receiver account ID. This one. And we'll have one near winner right here on mainnet. Yes, sending. Nice loader indicators right here. And boom, now we have the transaction fee. So it costed me some ridiculous low amount of money to send over a huge amount of near. So that's great. And the also quality of life improvement. Now you can see the suggested command to send it once again, or script this command for further reference, or like just replaying the commands. Here we are. Just as a reminder, you can kill part of the command from here, and even potentially remove like we can remove this part, and we'll only ask for the small details that you need to fill out, and keep going without asking the initial actions. So we can nicely use this mode of mixed interactive and prescripted command. That's on the CLI side. Let's move on. The near-JSonrpc client and near-API.js actually had recent releases that enabled the new API for sending a transaction to the network. This is a new API with a recent near core release that allows you to specify the finality level that you want to wait until the RPC server will respond to you. So you can instruct it to send you the response immediately as RPC server is receiving your input. So it would only return back the transaction hash. Or you can ask it to return to you after the transaction is registered on chain and you already get a response. Or you may specify, I want to wait until all the receipts are resolved, executed, and finalized. And this will take a little bit longer. As you imagine, it will need to wait for all the blocks to be produced and finalized. But now, as a developer, you can choose what what user experience you actually need at a certain point in time. So this is very nice, and all the clients are supporting it. And encourage you to migrate over to this new method. All the previous methods, broadcast TX, broadcast TX async, are still maintained and will never be removed realistically, because there are a lot of existing tech that already use it, and it's they are basically aliases to this new unified experience of sending transactions. Moving on. So something is coming. It's not released yet, but we are going through a lot of adding a lot of tests to near.cli.rs, and that was as part of the effort to bring a new collection to near SDK, which is IterableSet and IterableMap, which solved the problems of that we discovered with the performance of unordered set, in the store specifically. So store unordered map. You couldn't iterate efficiently through a huge collection. You could still get and set values, but the iteration was basically broken in a way. Now with this new collection, which is not storage compatible with the unordered set, so take it. If you want to migrate, you will need to implement your own migration. But other than that, IterableSet should be a full replacement for unordered sets, and same for the maps. Before cutting the release, we decided to cover it extensively with the tests for gas usage, so we don't suddenly introduce any issues in the future, and we have more confidence that all our collections are actually sound and provide all the best experiences. Then there is a call for action. If anybody has an urge to actually reduce the compilation time for our Rust tooling, there is a lot of low-hanging fruits because we mostly reuse the crates from near core, and some of them are using too many dependencies, and it's not a problem for the projects inside for the near core itself, but as you may imagine, for example, near.cli.rs or near JS&Rpc client, when pulling in near primitives, for example, end up pulling the whole universe out there. They could pull actics, they could pull several versions of some crates out there. So there is a message in tools community group on Telegram where I covered, provide some starting points. So if you're interested, drop me a message. I am happy to support you on the way of cleaning things up and bringing a lot of value to a near developer experience. There is also a call for participation for near SDK.js. This is not the Rust update here, but I think we need to have more love for that stack as well. And we have pretty good resources out there, but the near SDK.js still have a few unresolved issues on the way to 2.0 release. You can open the repo and you will find the epic there. So please join in or drop me a message again, either DM or in the tools community group on Telegram. And actually, not last. I forgot where is the slide? I forgot it. There is a pretty important update coming on the Cargo tool and Cargo CLI, which is a support for source scan and specifically reproducible builds. As you can see, there is quite an effort to bring reproducible Rust contract builds using Docker containers, and they recently merged source scan, not source scan, and NAP 360 extension, which was added, which was extended with the details about the build time compilation steps. So if you see this NAP, you will notice that there was an extension to the contract metadata output with the build info that could capture the where and how the contract was built in order for it to be built again and hopefully produce the same hash of the binary over the WASM binary. This is cool and fun when you basically state it as an app, but when you go and actually start integrating it into Cargo Near, it becomes a pretty challenging thing, because you need to carefully support multiple systems and other features of Cargo Near, building ABI and building potentially factory contracts. So all of that is heavy lifting, and kudos to the team to actually carefully crafting it through. So looking forward to start using it, and it will be hopefully enabled by default. So all the contracts built with Cargo Near, Cargo Near build, Cargo Near deploy, will actually benefit from this implementation going forward. Yeah, and I want to encourage you to subscribe to the newsletter. And there will be another episode of DevHub Live this Thursday, 5 p.m. UTC, if I remember correctly, where I will dive into DevHub, like how DevHub is built, the platform, the portal, how we use Web4, how we use Near SDK JS, how we use Cargo Near, how we use Boss, and how do we use meta transactions and all those parts. So DevHub is actually a collection of all the building blocks, I believe, in Near ecosystem, and I will be diving into it this Thursday. So that's all from my side. And Ludmil, passing to you.
Thanks. Well, thanks also for a little bit spoiling my last slide of my presentation. But anyway, here we go. So thank you very much to you all for being here today. Once again, if you want to present your work, suggest discussion topics, or want to get involved, just join our Telegram community or visit TOO's community page at near.devhub.org. These sessions are held every second Tuesday of the month, so we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Meanwhile, if you want to be updated with the dev news and general all happenings around the ecosystem, subscribe to our newsletter. You can see the latest issue up in the link above. Also, I want to give heads up that tomorrow we have the Docs community call. So if you're interested into documentation, helping out and contributions with the documentation examples, do join that. And Vlad already mentioned that there on Thursday at 5 p.m. UTC, there is the DevHub Live, where he'll be joining Joe, another contributor from DevHub, to explain all the things that Fro already spoiled on. Anyway, if you want to know about these and any further sessions that DevHub has, I suggest you check out the DevHub community calendar, so you're up to with all of the latest events that we have. So thank you very much once again, and until next time, have fun. Bye.